So I may be overdoing this, but I really want to hammer home how simple this can be. So what have I got here? Well, I've got some slats from a bed. This is, somebody was throwing away a wooden double bed. I asked if I could have it, and they said yes. I just unscrewed the whole thing and stuck it in the car. Give me a whole lot of this pine, actually. So I've got a whole load of these pine slats, which is what we're going to use for the tone generation. Now, they have knots in them. You can see them there and there. They're points of weakness, so what I'll do is I'll cut it where the knots aren't to give me nice clear timber, and that's what you want. So I'm going to use the scraps of a bed, and I'm going to use this thing. It's just a speaker I found. Obviously it's the box that I want, so I'm going to remove all of these bits. It'll take about 5 or 10 minutes. And cut my slats to size and bolt a piece in. So let's do that. Okay, that took about 5 minutes to get the cover off, and I cut 2 of these. Now I'll give you a close-up of these in a second, but one goes in here, one goes in the top, and these are going to be the bearing blocks for the keys. So as I want an octave, there are 4 holes top, 4 holes at bottom, giving me 8 keys. And we just put that into there, line it up, glue it in place. Same thing with the other side actually, but like I say, let me give you a close-up of how I made these bits here. So here's my bit of timber. It's cut so it's a fit, but a tight fit, so that I have to use a little bit of effort to get it in there, and then of course we're going to glue it in. Now what I did was measure up the size of the keys that I'm going to use, and those are bed slats, remember, and then find the midpoint, and I drilled the midpoint out with an 8mm drill, so that's what you can see in there, the 8mm holes. Then I put a marker on a 13mm drill and drilled down 13mm, and the reason for that is the nut just about goes in. So I've chosen some pretty bolts. Well, I think they're pretty because they're going to be exposed, and so something that looks good to you is always a nice one to use because it gives it a kind of an attractive appeal, if you like. And you'll see the repair washer on it. That's kind of important. And so we just put the bolt into the hole with its repair washer. Flip it over, and then we put the nuts on. And then we give those nuts a whack, which sinks the nut below the head. Then when we've done that, we can turn it over and tighten it down. And that pulls the nut into the timber until it reaches the point where it's blocked. Then we can unscrew it. And we have ourselves a fastening point for the key. So when you cut the keys to length, actually marking them out is really easy. And you can see I've got 4 bed slats here that I'm going to make into my 8 keys. So what I've done is mark where the support timbers that we fixed with the holes in are, and then down to where the hole was and in halfway. The bolt will go through that and fix the key to the support timber. Now where that mark is where we're going to cut a rebate all the way along. And if you watch the previous videos, that's to help this mass vibrate. So there'll be a rebate cut in here and a hole cut in there. The length from here to here goes to that support block, and that's where the hole in the support block is, which is the midpoint of the key that we're going to put in. Now those two, between there and there, is where the vibrating mass is going to be. So halfway there is 55 centimeters. So that's the half mark of each of the keys. All I've done is mark the keys in half and then progress 1 centimeter along, going in that direction, so that we get different sized keys. Each of those keys is a different size. And then I cut along that mark to make me 2 different sized keys. So all I need to do now is drill out these holes at 8mm, put in the rebate cut, and then cut those and give them a bit of a sand. Okay, so that's the keys all cut and sanded. Now this little channel here that we cut, what that allows us to do actually is that this wood will vibrate better. Now you don't have to cut that channel, but because we're using quite a cheap timber, you'll find the ringtone quite dead, and what happens with that channel is it's able to ring more. Now it does create a problem as well as creating a solution, because with this hole here is what fixes to the bar. If we put a channel in there, then we could tune this block by sliding the block up and down in the channel that we cut there. But if we slide it down so far that that piece crosses over the support bar, then we'll get a dead tone, which is unfortunate. But these things are all about choices. If you were using a better timber, then probably cutting a slot in there to tune the keys would be a really nice way to go. But because we put this channel in to get a better ringtone from a cheaper timber, then we can't really put a slot in there, and it means that we're going to have to take material off this to bring it into tune. But as I say, a thinner, better quality timber without this rebate cut, then instead of putting a hole, you could put a channel and tune it by sliding the whole piece up and down. Okay, so this whole thing's actually finished. These bits don't do anything, they just pretty it up a little bit. Now you could paint the inside of that obviously, and if it was me I'd paint it black so you can't see any of the blemishes. And all we have left to do with this really is put the keys on and tune it. Now the keys, as we say, they go with the rebate facing down and they go into those holes. We grab one of our bolts. Now there we go. Grab one of our bolts with its washer, drop it through that hole, drop it through that hole, and then tighten it down. And we do that with all of the keys, just by eye, making sure that they all line up. Okay, so that's pretty much it. Now the eagle-eyed amongst you will spot this. There's a couple of screws going in there because when I put this together, maybe the case was a bit old and a bit rickety actually. So I put some screws in to strengthen it up, just 4 on each side there. Now I don't think it really matters as long as you pick a pretty screw and make it part of the design, because remember this is to be quick and cheap in order to do it. Now start to finish it probably took me about 2 hours to do actually, it's not that long. And a quick listen to it. Yeah, I think it has quite a nice tone. Obviously it would be better if you used a better wood, but this is a bed, remember. Now the key things about this I think are the ease of construction. This little fastenet as separate teeth to the thing really makes it super simple to be able to do, and to be able to tune it by just taking off a tooth and then filing it down, sanding it down, cutting a bit off, whatever it is. Makes it really simple and really straightforward to do. And if you do muck up, well, you're only mucking up one tooth. So I think the separate fingers actually are a special part of the design, and that's to do with this bolt-on section here, which I really quite like. And the other thing is that rebate that we cut in the tooth channel, remember? That helps the thicker timber to have a much nicer vibration. Anyway, a really quick project to do in an afternoon, and you get something out of it at the end, which I think is going to be quite cool depending on what it is of this you choose. Anyway, thank you very much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the video.